Good day. This is the 6th episode of our weekly podcast, Frankly Speaking, about things Jamaican. We begin, as usual, with a quick review of the newspapers and go on to tell you about something that has made or is making The Rock special. Then it's onto my commentary, Frankly Speaking. After that, it's crosstalk, when two sides of a current issue are looked at with a guest. Today, it's chicken meat, and we close out by looking ahead to increased banking fees. So, please stay with us through the 15 minutes or so of Frankly Speaking podcast. Now, the papers. The Sunday Gleaner takes a deep dive into the murder morass in Jamaica, with crime covering its first 4 pages. First 4 pages are all about crime. Murder for hire, 2 guns, 30 plus crime scenes, no magic bullet for crime, and St. Andrew North's pain, speaking about particular crime situation there, and so on. Now, murder for hire is its screaming headline. And the lead paragraph tells you the story. Erica Vertue writes, quote, "A buoyant murder for hire industry through which Jamaicans engage marksmen to settle domestic disputes, disrupt love affairs, get their hands on insurance money, and to bump off business partners is believed to be the main driver behind the island's 1,463 homicides recorded last year." End quote. Now, that's the verdict, even though the police say it's gangs that are fueling the bloodletting, which is not to say these two positions are contradictory. And through the morass of crime, the Gleaners Albert Ferguson and Mark Titus look at the decline of sugar and the rise of scamming as a platform for the killing fields of Westmoreland. Sugar's decline, ascent in scamming, crime in Westmoreland. The Sunday Observer's Garfield Higgins makes a link between what he calls prosperity capitalism, which he says has fueled decline in Jamaica's values, and the rise of criminality that are helping, according to him, rapidly rip the social fabric of this country to bits. He calls it the upside, which is speaking about the economy, the upside and the downside of Jamaica at the present time. That's Garfield Higgins. Now, he quotes, "The decay is all around us and obvious for those who want to see. Lewd, loud, loose, and crude behavior is now paraded in mainstream culture. There's a general absence of civic pride that is disheartening. Raucousness is now more than just a theme in the majority of exchanges in public spaces." End quote. The Sunday papers both have more on chicken price, with ads by the major players saying how many people the local industry supports, and one from the Minister of Agriculture pointing to the $50 million subsidy he's proposing with a lifting of the common external tariff. So that is the poultry industry's ad, speaking about up to 300,000 people involved in the local economy because of the industry. And here's the minister now with his $50 million subsidy going to poultry farmers. You're going to hear much more about this in the coming days. Now, before we leave the newspapers, the Sunday Gleaner has a fitting full-page ad tribute to Garfield Grandison. "You made it better." Garfield G.G. Grandison. Now, Grandison steps down from his most recent leg of nearly 40 years serving that institution and journalism. The Gleaner's tribute says that on Monday, January 31, 2022, Gigi closes this chapter after writing an excellent edition of diligent, passionate, fair, fearless and innovative journalism, end quote. Mr. Grandison, we salute you, sir. Now to Jamaican perspectives. The pit latrine is part of the Jamaican history and society that we would love to put completely behind us. You may know, of course, that though diminished in number, the pit latrine is still a part of some schools and of many homes. May we get rid of them soon. Yet at the same time, the pit latrine reminds us not only that we are coming from far, but that we were a clean people, even the poorest of us. There were some among us who prided themselves in how well they kept their premises, including the pit latrine, and its very floor was kept shine, as were the floorboards in the house. Back then, even before the red oak and polish, they used what was called the salindine, that bush that resembles the breadfruit tree. It was used, especially in the rural parts, to rub the floor in preparation for a good cleaning. That was followed by the application of beeswax to the coconut brush, which, on hands and knees, we used to scrub into the floor, leaving it so clean and shine you could see your face in it. That went for the pit latrine too, the site of which was often sprayed with J's or disinfectant. The government of the day had public health inspectors who went around examining the structures and placing on them a round silver-looking stamp nailed to the door as proof that this was a sanitary site. So when we hear today that poor people are using plastic bags to parachute their waste to next door or into the gully or river, we sure know that's not because of poverty at all. It's something else to be deplored. Now, frankly speaking, my commentary. So, in my most recent weekly podcast posted on Sunday, January 23, I commented on the chaos and disorder that has descended on Jamaican way of life, making it appear that we are having a brutish, coarse, short existence. Yes, violent crime and criminality in general have turned off many, causing them to look to yonder shores. But so too has the decline into slovenliness, nastiness, and loud, unfriendly, selfish, and uncouth behavior seen in almost every facet of Jamaican life. Largely it has sprung up as an excuse for poverty, suggesting that the poor need a break, that man have to eat a food, that the society needs to transform to a ghetto to give a space to all. Frankly speaking, that's never going to work because neither growth nor development takes place in disorder and chaos. Lawlessness and disorder repels investment and the very people one needs to make it happen, which is why the cities and towns overseas that attract us or that appeal to us are the ones where order is a way of life, no matter whether they are democratic or communist. The cancer of lawlessness and chaos has many branches and includes noise at all times of day or night, anywhere. That includes truck drivers sitting on their horns, car drivers keeping the tooting going for a minute or more in a traffic jam, and music being played at ear-splitting decibel levels at 2 in the morning. It involves squatting, electricity theft, lawless operation of private and public passenger vehicles. But the most pernicious and pervasive is the ever-growing street vending. I've always said, and I've already said, that vending is often an exercise of creative entrepreneurship that has worked to educate and give substance and sustenance to many of us. But it needs order, and there is none now, all about Jamaica's towns and the countryside. Recently, I did a series on town centers ranging from a small transport hub that is Spalding in the hills of Clarendon to cosmopolitan Montego Bay in the west, from fast-growing Junction in St. Elizabeth to overclogged One Street, Highgate, St. Mary. Frankly speaking, every one of the 10 or more town centers reported on for nationwide news, everyone, bar none, was choked, the main cause being street vending and the disorderly operation of taxis and buses. As uniformly choked as the towns were, frankly speaking, so uniformly clueless were their local government leaders, mayors, municipal corporation chairmen, councillors. The people who should prevent it were clueless. Oh yes, they knew it has been growing. They've never seen it like this. Oh yes, they have made efforts. But the people are not relenting, and the chaos grows. Frankly speaking, as I said last time, not one parish capital in Jamaica today can say it is well ordered without chaos, and without streets that are just clogged and where lawlessness prevails. Even in small towns now, people have taken to preparing food by the roadside with open fire, pots and drums taking up part of the sidewalk. This is dangerous and unhealthy and should not be allowed to continue. But we have it all openly set out as an example on Red Hills Road, one of the capital city's major thoroughfares. And we have it in rural one-street towns as well. Have you noticed that this matter of our lawless streets, where it is dangerous or threatening to walk about, is not cause for reflection or action of the political leaders, not the Prime Minister, not the leader of the opposition, not even the man who should have it in his sights every day, the Minister of Local Government. And I have my suggestions how it may be tackled. Now, to crosstalk. In the news this past week was a lot of chatter about chicken meat prices. That came following suggestions by the Minister of Agriculture, Colonel Charles Jr., that he was considering removing the common external tariff from imported chicken meat, thus pushing down the price. It raised cries of foul, foul. Well, so here's my take on it, after which agriculturalist and publisher Patrick Maitland will give his view. Poor Minister of Agriculture, Colonel Charles Jr., the first move he makes or announces publicly following his assignment to head the ministry is seen by major stakeholder interests as wanting to kill off the small farmers or producers of chicken meat anyway. Mr. Charles Jr. announced last week that he was considering government action to remove the duty on chicken meat, leg quarters in particular. That's in the context of another increase in chicken meat price, making it nearly $300 a pound or nearly $2 a pound for chicken meat. My friends in New York tell me they are buying chicken parts at between 50 cents and 75 cents US, or between 75 Jamaican dollars and 120 Jamaican dollars a pound. It's hellish for the Jamaican consumers, and especially people on a minimum wage of less than US $50 a week. Yes, that's the rate here in Jamaica. So the minister is seeking to drive down the price of chicken meat in a context where so many other prices are going up. He's driving it down with more imports of much cheaper chicken than Jamaica broilers and Caribbean broilers and some 100,000 small farmers can produce and sell it for. Mr. Charles Jr. says we can import chicken and get it to the market at 160 Jamaican dollars a pound or so. Housewives would love him for it. Why should we keep prices of this popular protein source so high to poor people on the claim being made by the Jamaican Agricultural Society and others that the industry will be flooded out? How many more years of protection do we need for chicken or for tomato or for beef or so many agricultural products for that matter? And the minister is also making 50 million Jamaican dollars available in subsidies to small chicken farmers. That's no chicken feed. Now, here is agriculture consultant, journalist and publisher of the Agriculturalist magazine, Patrick Maitland.
The price of locally produced chicken meat increased by approximately 17% over the last 12 months, which is less than the price increase for other consumer items, yet not much excitement or pressure on government to take action. Minister Charles planned to temporarily lower the import duties on chicken meat as part of an overall strategy to reduce the price of chicken to consumers. This may be good news, However, the minister must move quickly to implement other strategies to achieve sustainability of local production. But the long-term solution must include a partnership with the Jamaica broilers and Caribbean broilers, and attracting new investors, especially in the baby chick and feeding manufacturing division. Don't blame Jamaica broilers or Caribbean broilers. These companies have done a fantastic job to keep the local chicken industry alive. These companies are also focusing on the more lucrative export market, which would be creating more opportunities for smaller producers, which now occupy 40% of the chicken market. Let's not be quick to import, as it could put our food security at risk and damage a viable sector, as in the case of the dairy industry, which is dying today as a result of imported milk powder.
Now that's crosstalk with Patrick Maitland. Now, what's ahead? The banks have been in the news this past week with announced increased fees, some of which have, by the way, already been put into effect. That has caused all sorts of noises in high and low places, including statements by 3 ministers of the cabinet: the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness no less, the Finance Minister, the usually thoughtful Nigel Clark, was called in the banks for a chat, and even the Justice Minister, Delroy Chuck, suggesting new legislation. And equally, the strange sound of the governing Labour Party through its Deputy General Secretary, not the General, it must be said, the Deputy General Secretary, asking for the government to engage the banks to overturn the fees. The banks have, of course, said they are pressing ahead with increasing fees that include charging their customers for withdrawing their own money, even from ATMs, which the country has been encouraged to use for efficiency and cost savings. It's not over yet, and we here at Frankly Speaking podcast will have a thing or two to say about it, and not just the increased fees next time. Please let us know your comments, what you think about these podcasts, and even issues you'd like to hear us comment on. Please share and subscribe. That's it for this week, and thank you for your time. Frankly Speaking. Good day.